Okay, let me know if this is like your business. One month, you land a huge contract, your revenue skyrockets, and then the next 2 months, it's like crickets, right? You have almost no revenue. And then all of a sudden after that, you have another huge month, and your revenue is kind of like this roller coaster, right? And look, until things even out in your business, it can be like that way. And if you're like me, you might be asking yourself, like, how am I supposed to budget in an environment like this? Well, I got you covered. I got the answers for you today. Let's dive into today's episode. Welcome to Success Sundays with Harrison. I'm your host, Harrison Wilder. I'm a corporate strategist and entrepreneur with an executive MBA from the George Washington University. I've managed 2 multi-million-dollar companies, and I advise top-level executives from a variety of industries. In this show, you'll find practical insights that will help you succeed as a leader in today's business environment. If you're serious about developing your skills as an executive, this is the place for you. Enjoy today's episode. Well, look, budgeting for your business can be tricky. It's different, as you may have noticed if you've been in business for a little while, than a family budget. A family budget, you often have a fixed income, like you've got a paycheck coming in. It's pretty consistent from month to month. And then, you can look at your monthly expenses and they're kind of consistent. And then you try to make everything even out. You want to balance that budget. Well, in business, it can be so much different, especially when you're first starting out. You may land a huge client one month and then not have much income for a few months. It's hard to know sometimes when the money's going to come in. You probably, if you've been in business for a few years and things, you may have like a good sense of like how much money you're going to make every year. But man, from month to month, it can fluctuate so much. And the expenses can be the same way. I mean, there are some expenses that are the same every month. Maybe your team that you've got to provide for if you have any other overhead like that. But then, you may need to make like a big investment into some personal development or a conference or things like that you need to go to. And there's huge travel expenses one month. And the expenses can variate, a lot from month to month as well. So it's natural. And look, when I first started in this, we were freelancers, my wife and I, when we first started our own businesses. And I was in real estate and she was in graphics design. And, it was hard to know, like, am I going to get a sale this week? Am I going to get a big commission? Is she going to land a big client or not? We don't know from month to month. So you're trying to figure out, how do I be responsible with money in this kind of environment? And what I had to learn was what's called percentage-based budgeting. And it's different than a family budget where you're allocating actual money. And percentage-based budgeting, you're looking more at the revenue that's coming in and you're dividing it out among different categories of expenses so that you're ready for them when they come. This way, when you have a big windfall of money all at once, you can go ahead and divide it out among the different categories and be prepared for a dry spell or be prepared for a few months without any additional income if that happens to be the case. I learned this, most of what I know from this, from a book called Profit First. The author is Michael Lowitz. I think that's how you say his last name. And really helped me so much. And so if you really want to go deep into this, I'd recommend picking up his book, Profit First, and diving into it. But for the purpose of this podcast, we can really jump into it and give you a good overview of what it looks like. Now, I won't describe it exactly the way that the author did in his book. So like I said, you can check it out, but I'll give you enough helpful tools to kind of understand how this process can work. And I bet you'll be like me and you'll be like, oh, this is what I've been looking for. I've been trying to figure this out. And I know, look, some of you are smart, you're brainiacs, you've already figured this out a long time ago, and that's great. But for those of you who are like me and you're like, wow, I need some help with this. I need to figure out how I can budget for my business. Tune in, listen in. This is going to help you so much. And the starting point is really by creating a separate account where you can just keep all of your income when it comes in. And so in my business banking setup right now, I've got several different checking accounts. And the first one on my list is my income account. And the income account is where all of the revenue that comes into my company goes in there. So, and when I'm sending, when clients are sending me wire transfers, they go in there. When my payment processor is sending me money, from credit card payments, it goes in there. If anybody's sending me money, PayPal, anybody wants to send me money, it goes into the income account, and I collect it all there until I can perform my percentage-based allocation. So percentage-based allocation, the one thing that you're going to want to do is have a good sense of kind of your annual expenses, and that's the one piece that you can do without worrying too much about the month-to-month fluctuations. You can have a good sense of your annual income and expenses. You can maybe look at your income from last year, and you might know if you're planning any major adjustments to it or not. But you can set like, okay, this is what income I'm kind of expecting for this year, and then you may know some of your expenses. What you're going to do though is to form these other bank accounts so that when the income comes in, maybe once a week or so, you can go ahead and distribute that income into different checking accounts for different purposes. Now, Michael Michalowicz, he in Profit First suggests, by the name of the book, Profit First, that you pay yourself first. Right. And this is important, too, because especially if you're in a business that's fluctuating so much and maybe you're in the initial stages of business, you do want to make sure that you can pay yourself. Right. And that you can, from the beginning, start taking some sort of profit out of this business. There's a reason why you left a job to start this business. And it's because you wanted profit. Right. You wanted to actually have more income. You didn't want to have just a job. If you wanted a job, you go work for somebody else. But you wanted to have profit. And so I think it's a great thing in this book, Profit First. He talks about setting aside profit first. So you're going to have an account, a separate checking account called your profit account. And look, this is so cool because you can take out money as soon as it comes into your income account, right? And it's all growing, it's all accumulating in the income account. And then once a week, you're going to go in and you decide how much profit you're going to take out, based on your numbers for the year, and you're going to take that percentage out. Maybe it'll start off at 2%, right? 2% of everything that comes in, you're going to drop that into your profit account, and you're going to let that sit there. And then, I don't know, once a quarter, you're going to go take your family on a vacation, or you're going to take yourself out to eat, or whatever you can afford from that profit account. You're going to do something special for yourself, or you're going to go fund an investment with it, right? You're going to do something fun like that with your profit. So that's your profit account. That's one of the checking accounts you want to set up. And then you set a percentage so that every week you go in, take the right percentage out of the income account and transfer it into that profit account. Right? Are you tracking with me here? How you can do that? So look, and if you want, Michael in his book provides some great percentages based on so a good profit percentage that he recommends based on the income of your company, and for the other areas as well that we're going to go through. So check out his book if you want an idea for like what these percentages could be like. But you can set them up for yourself, right? You can just decide how much you're going to allocate towards each of these areas. The first one being profit. The second one being owner compensation. So this is going to be your paycheck. What is the lifestyle expense that you have right now that you need to be taking out of your company, that you can justify taking out of your company? And what is it that you're gonna pay yourself to cover that, right? What do you need to be putting in there? And what percentage of that what percentage of your annual income or your annual revenue that you're expecting from the company is that amount? Right. So set that percentage. When you're starting out in a company, that's probably going to be a pretty huge percentage, right? Because you're going to have to take a big chunk of the revenue that comes in just to cover your family's expenses. Could be as much as 50%, could be 40%, could be 60% of the revenue of the company that's got to go back into just providing for you and your family. But whatever that percentage is, set up a bank account for your payroll, for your compensation, your owner compensation. If you have other team members, and this is kind of optional, you can also include them in there, right? So this could just be like your general payroll expenses, right? If you want to make sure that that you're covered for that, right? So if you have a big windfall of revenue one month, you know how much percentage of that needs to go into the payroll account to be able to cover payroll for the future until the next big windfall, right? So you're going to set up the profit account, and you're going to set up a payroll account or an owner compensation account, and you're going to decide what percentage you need to put into that account, right? So those are two. Every Friday or once a week, you're going to go in there and allocate to those two accounts. And then you're going to have another account called your tax account. This is an important one, right? We want to make sure that we're setting aside money for taxes so that we don't get hit by that quarterly tax bill every quarter and not know how to pay it, right? So, about 15% probably of your revenue, unless you have like a lot of what do you call it, margin expenses, so above the margin expenses, then this number could be lower. But typically about 15% of your revenue, you're going to want to set that aside and just transfer it right into the tax account. So every week when you're setting aside your profit and you're setting aside your payroll, also set aside the 15% for taxes so that you're prepared to pay that bill when it comes. All right. And that leaves us with one more account, and that's your operating account. The operating account is where all of your other expenses are going to come out, right? So, and you could just transfer whatever's left in income over into the operating account. And what's cool about this is the operating account is going to be that one account that you get to look at every time you're making a big financial decision to try to determine how much money you actually have, right? If you're like, I need to spend money on this, like how much money do I have to spend on it? Or, can we take on this additional expense? Or can we do this? Can we invest in this thing? You're going to be looking at the operating account, which is typically, and this is great, Michael illustrates this in Profit First so well, that like this is typically how everybody makes decisions financially anyway. As they look at their bank account, they're like, looks like I have money. But the problem is if your money for taxes and your money for profit and your money for payroll are all sitting in that same account together, then you tend to think you have a lot more money than you actually have to spend on operating expenses. So by isolating them out and having them in one area, it'll help you make those financial decisions every day that you need to make with a little more clarity, right? So you see how this works. You've got your income account, and then every week, once a week or so, you are dividing them out. You're taking your percentage out for profit. You're taking the percentage out for payroll or for owner compensation. You're taking the 15% out for taxes, and then whatever's left over, you're putting it into your operating account. And these are the things that you have available for expenses. So look, I hope this is really helpful to you. Another little ninja tip here is maybe you find yourself like you have a big windfall, like in a couple of months, you're making a lot of money. One of the cool things about this is that payroll account, especially, you can start to stockpile the money in there. Keep the percentages the same amount, as you would. Like, don't start putting less in there until you build up about 6 months of payroll. And once you have 6 months of payroll covered inside of that payroll checking account, now maybe you can play around with increasing the allocation to profit, or increasing the allocation that winds up, or decreasing your payroll allocation so you have a little bit more in the operating account. But you can build up and kind of set a goal for yourself of like, hey, how many months of payroll do I want to have here to make sure that my family and my team is covered in case we go through a dry spell. So ninja tip there to help you prepare for the future. Solomon in his wisdom said that, hey, we ought to be like that. We ought to, like, in the months of abundance, let's store up and prepare for the winter months, because there are seasons in your business. There'll always be seasons. There are going to be ups and downs. And so let's prepare in the seasons of abundance for future seasons, knowing that they could come. So hope this is helpful for you on business budgeting using percentage-based allocation. And if you have any questions about this or anything we can help with, drop them down in the comments. I'd love to get in there and talk to you guys about it, answer any questions you have. Of course, if you want really great clarity on this, I recommend picking up the book Profit First by Michael Michalowicz. Amazing book if you get to check that out. We don't like to end the episode without giving you the success challenge of the week. So today's success challenge, can you guess it? Do you know what it is? How about this? Let's make it really simple. Why don't you just open up the bank accounts, right? go into your business, talk to your business banker and say, hey, don't pay a bunch of fees for this. Go find a bank that'll let you do it without having to pay fees. But open up the different accounts, right? Open that income account, open that profit account, open that payroll or owner compensation account, open the tax account, and open an operating account. And then just practice every week, taking that income, taking all the income that goes in that income account and spreading it out between the other accounts based on a percentage amount that you can set. Or you can search for Michael's resources and Profit First for some good percentages for the size of your company. But hey, thanks for joining us today for the episode, and look forward to seeing you in the next episode. Well, I hope you enjoyed today's episode. Great businesses and great leaders are built using effective communication. For more, go to speakingschool.com, grab my Elite Business Success Toolkit for free just for trying out our Speaking School membership. That's speakingschool.com. See you next time.